Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank the witnesses for appearing as well. And, Mr. Chairman, I'm very much concerned about the notion that we should follow the money, but I'm also concerned about following the counterfeit money, what's called super notes. This currency is so finely tuned that sometimes it's very difficult to be detected, but for some sort of special technology. As you know, the dollar is the reserve currency for most of the world, and there is a war for currency supremacy. My concern, or maybe I shouldn't be, and I'll let you tell me, is whether or not these super notes flowing in and out of our country and into other countries can pose some sort of threat to security in this country in the long run. I do understand that we retooled our currency, but I'm still concerned about nationals, larger than terrorist organizations, countries, if you will, that can play a role in devaluing and creating mistrust in our currency. Does anyone care to respond?
You know, having overseen the multi-year initiative for the U.S. government against North Korea's illicit financial networks, including Supernote, I guess I can comment. It's been a very costly endeavor for the U.S. We've had to redesign our currency twice as a result of North Korea's national level counterfeiting of our currency. I do not know that they have succeeded at counterfeiting the latest iteration of the $50 and $100 bills, though. So, you know, Congressman, I definitely appreciate your interest in this and concern. It is a concerning issue. It's cost us hundreds of millions of dollars to redesign the currency over the years. And North Korea did spur on several huge bank runs overseas. In Taiwan, I think we had over $500 million in bank runs in just a period of a couple weeks back in 2003 or 2004. You know, so the amount of money that the regime in North Korea has actually garnered from supernote circulation is probably not as high as some people think, but the damage they've done is considerable. And the damage they could do, and if they can indeed counterfeit the security features on the new notes, it would be, well, first it would be pretty incredible technologically, but they've been pretty good up to now. They've managed to do it 4 different times, I believe, with notes. So, and we know that they're essentially printing their notes and our notes, that they're making their version of our notes on their printing presses. So, you know, North Korea is using its absolute best capabilities here. So it's a concern. I think that the Department of Treasury is very much on top of it. But the bigger issue is, why did North Korea get it prosecuted when we investigated them? The State Department played a very big role supporting Department of Justice. FBI had an incredible investigation into North Korea's supernote activity, including its ties to the official IRA and its ties to Japanese terrorist groups and from the 1970s, and you know, it was just wild stuff. It, you know, featured in Vanity Fair and Wall Street Journal articles and things. And President Bush, who I had the honor to serve, decided that it was too controversial and we couldn't press charges against the Kim regime at the same time we were negotiating with them. And of course, I was negotiating with them, and I was involved in trying to press charges against them at the same time. I didn't understand the reason not to do that. The North Koreans know damn well what they were doing, and somebody needed to be held accountable, but we didn't do it. That evidence still exists. In theory, somebody could make a case. The statute of limitations probably doesn't expire against a state sponsor of terrorism, at least it was at the time. So, you know. Mr.
Asher, if I may, I appreciate your answer. I do want to interrupt for this reason. I have one other question for you. This one relates to knockoffs. I want to move to a more pedestrian level now, if I may. Knockoffs. We see a lot of it on the streets. And the question is, to what extent are these knockoffs related to either networks of criminal activity, not just as individual, but networks, and also the possibility of being linked to terrorism? You talked about cars.
Yeah, the largest export for North Korea, believe it or not, is counterfeit cigarettes coming out of North Korean government-controlled, criminally run factories. They're making maybe as much as $700 to $1 billion a year in revenue on these, and we have them trafficked all over the United States. frequently they appear in the press as coming out of China, but they're actually just coming through China because North Korea doesn't export directly to the United States particularly. So, is it benefiting the regime? Absolutely. Is it benefiting the most despicable, dangerous elements of the regime? Absolutely. Are they tied into transnational organized crime? 100% certain. And we've proven it in court repeatedly. So you should be concerned.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the time. I yield back.